in at number 10. So back at it with Pluto, in 1997, a whole family attacked a Pluto. Pushed her into the fountain. Okay, hold on a second. I want to pause this story for a second because reading it, it said pushed her into the fountain. And I'm a 30-year-old man, and you know, I just found out that Pluto is a female. For some reason, I thought Pluto was a male. Bad assumption, I guess. Or maybe this employee is referring to whoever was inside the Pluto. So maybe Pluto is a male like I suspected, and it was just played by a female. But either way, my mind is kind of blown right now. Well, the employee goes on to say that they didn't actually see the attack, but they just got to deal with the aftermath backstage. Later, Pluto told this employee that the family was mad that she had to take her break after they had waited to get a picture. I think Pluto either broke her arm or her leg, and the people responsible for this, well, they ended up getting arrested. Number 9 on our list. Okay, this one's pretty funny, but also equally as gross. An employee recalls that they used to use a Disney code words for things they needed to tell other employees, you know, over the radio. Baloo, well, that was a code for blood that needed to be cleaned up. Well, one day this employee sees a 2-year-old boy half naked taking a poop in the playground, in the children's playground. He sees the employee and starts to cry and just runs away. Well, the employee didn't have a code word for a human taking a poop. They only have a code word for like blood. Blood cleanup in aisle 2, please. So he made one up on the spot and he said, code poo, situation in the kids' play area, and Piglet is on the loose. Can you imagine seeing that? I don't know what I would do if I heard Piglet is on the loose. What does that mean? Alright, so if you guys are liking this video, make sure you guys hit the like button. It really helps us out in the algorithms. It makes us featured on YouTube and it gets more exposure for you guys. Next up on this list at number 8. This story made the news in 2013. A drunk 23-year-old had been drinking at Epcot's World Showcase, so this is where you can enjoy a drink from different places in the world. Well, it sounds like a good time, but obviously easy to get a little bit too tipsy, which seems to be what happened to this guy. He had the bright idea to run into a backstage area and steal a cargo cart. In the process, Disney employees tried to stop him, but he was on a tear. He ended up punching not one, but 2 employees before hitting a third with a 3-foot long PVC pipe in the head. I mean, ouch. We don't know what happened to the guy, but I imagine something along the lines of being banned for the rest of his life and assault and battery charges. And yeah, that might be the way that story ended. Moving right along on this list to number 7, we have this. The Disney employee had publicly stated that the bad days that the employees endure at the happiest place on earth will kind of haunt you. After he shared a story that a 57-year-old Miami Beach tourist headbutted him. Okay, so the backstory of this? Well, apparently the employee wouldn't let this dude's wife, who wasn't disabled in any way, use the wheelchair line at the monorail station. So instead of asking her, hey ma'am, can you get out of this wheelchair line? He just decided to go with the headbutts. Number 6. Imagine taking your family to the happiest place on earth and leaving the family outing that day with one child missing. It happens more than you think. In fact, on multiple occasions, Disney employees have been caught and arrested for child trafficking. I mean, this just got real dark. And stealing children to sell them on the black market. I've heard of this black market thing. I don't actually know what it is. How are people buying kids? How are people selling kids on the black market? In 2015, 3 Disney employees were caught by police as a part of a huge sting. The reports never stated whether the children were found, but Disney goes on to great lengths to cover this up because obviously, well, it's bad for business. Number 5.
Police officer, we've been there! Pouring a dip, boys. What's that?
Disney accidents. Of course there are going to be accidents at theme parks. Pretty scary to think about. All those kids running around, crazy rides. It's kind of a miracle that these kinds of stories don't happen more often. But a 4-year-old boy back in 2000 fell out of the Roger Rabbit cartoon spin ride and he suffered major internal injuries and was hospitalized with serious conditions. Unfortunately, it was too late for this child, who lived with the consequences of that fateful ride until he passed away in January of 2009. I wonder if Disney paid the medical bills for the family, compensated them for the rest of their lives. That must have just been so heartbreaking. Pretty depressing story, but let's try to move on here. Let me take you guys back all the way back to 1978. Okay, picture this. Winnie the Pooh slapping a little girl. Okay, no, seriously, it actually went to court in 1981, a few years after the event happened. This is like going into a mall and seeing Santa Claus slapping kids. So the girl's parents claimed that Pooh Bear had slapped their daughter, but the Disney employee in the Winnie the Pooh suit claimed that the girl had been tugging on his costume, and when he turned around, he accidentally knocked her over. He actually showed up to court in the costume and convinced the jury that the arms of the costume would have prevented him from slapping a child because they were too short and didn't move in a way possible to slap a small child. Coming in at number 3 on this list, we have this.
Alright, we gotta go find the kids. Dude, where are the kids at?
Another Disney employee rumored that circulated over the years is that there is a jail under Disney World. So if you commit a crime in Disney World, you line hop, you butt in line, you're going to the underground Disney World jail. Well, this is where people breaking rules are kept while they wait for the police or security to arrive. But actually this claim has been debunked. There's a network of tunnels called utilidors, short for utility corridors, that allows cast members and other staff to access different parts of the park and move around without being seen, so as to not break the illusion and take guests out of the immersive Disney experience. But this has been widely criticized for being the exact way that Disney employees from number 6 stole children. They used these tunnels, hidden away from the public. That's how they got away with it. Well, I can't confirm or deny through research, but there's a lot of theories out there that suggest there's a possibility. In at number 2,
a 30-year-old employee dressed as Pluto was killed when he was run over by a Beauty and the Beast float over the Share a Dream Come True parade. According to Disney officials, this is the first fatal incident to a cast member.
Death at Disney doesn't seem to be as uncommon as one would think. I mean, we just talked about that little boy who lost his life. A cast member who dressed up as Pluto named Javier Cruz was about to enter Frontierland in the parade in 2004. Well, the foot of his costume got stuck under the Beauty and the Beast float, but the float couldn't stop fast enough. Cruz was struck and killed before entering the public viewing area. This is such a sad story, and one that you think could be easily prevented, and that Disney would have safe protocols in place since they run a theme park where a million things could go wrong at any given time. Well, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration gave Walt Disney World a $6,300 fine for this incident. Seems like nothing for a company worth billions and billions of dollars. A $6,000 fine because they caused death upon somebody? Something just doesn't seem right now. And number 1 on this list, thank you guys for making it to number 1 on this list, we have See You Later, Alligator.
We recovered the remains of the 2-year-old from the water.
The 16-hour-long desperate search for the 2-year-old boy attacked by an alligator at Disney World has come to a heartbreaking close. Well,
not quite the case, but in 2016, that was the last thing a father saw when an alligator attacked his 2-year-old son, pulling him into the water. After a 16-hour search, the toddler was found in the Seven Seas Lagoon. It is said that Disney has since taken measures to make sure that this never ever happens again. I hope they took serious actions and actually located the alligator safely and removed this alligator from a theme park, you know, a theme park full of children and people. I mean, with all the technology that we have, why not just have a mechanic or an electronic alligator? There's no point of having these dangerous animals alive just roaming in the park, unless the alligator got in somehow. But why not just build fences all around it to keep everyone inside safe?
Starting off this countdown, we have the man with the cane. The man with a cane is an urban legend that has gotten passed on from employee to employee. So the legend is about a man with a cane that haunts the Haunted Mansion ride at Disney. So according to legend, back in the day, a man died in a plane crash. The plane crashed in a lake near the park, and now his spirit haunts the ride. On a number of occasions, cast members have seen this man on the ride. He can only be seen between the offload and onload points of the ride, and he just sits there alone, holding his cane in his lap, just staring straight ahead. They've also seen his spirit late at night, especially after closing. According to some psychics, this man is trapped between worlds. Coming in at number 9, we have the scripts. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up because I said so, and it really helps us out. So please hit that like button. So it's no shock that the cast members have memorized a script as to what they have to say. But what you probably didn't know is that they are given around 3 days to learn the whole lengthy script. And they also have to learn all the speeds and stops and controls of the ride that they're working on. And before actually getting to work on the ride, they have to practice the script in front of a trainer. And they have to do this until they get every single word right. If they accidentally say the word okay instead of alright, they have to start the whole script all over again from the beginning. Man, that would absolutely kill me. Like, that sounds like torture. In our 8th spot, we have the masked characters. So in my last part to this video, I talked about how the masked characters have to stay in character at all times. Even if they're injured or literally dying, they can't just whip off their mask. They need to wait until they're out of the public's eye. Same thing goes if you're sick. Literally, workers are told to throw up in their mask if they're sick. Taking the head off is just not an option. Now, they do have a signal that they can do if they don't feel well or if they need assistance, and that's covering one eye with one hand and then raising the other arm in the air. Someone will see this and then come get them. Still, that does not sound pleasant at all. Moving on to number 7, we have the water cooler. Okay, this one grossed me out, not gonna lie. So this next Disney employee used to work at an office for Disney, and in the office there was a water cooler that you could use to fill up your bottles before going on stage. Well, one day their manager was drinking the water when he said that it tasted a little stale, but he continued to drink the water anyways. About 2 hours later, another worker fills up their bottle, takes a sip, and spits out the water. Turns out that a frickin' giant bullfrog had gotten into the water cooler tank and died in there. So they literally had been drinking dead bullfrog water for days until someone finally noticed. That's disgusting. In our 6th spot, we have the security. What not a lot of people realize is just how tight Disney's security really is. Disney actually has tons of undercover security guards. They are just dressed up and pose as tourists. In fact, one employee said that when she had a kid, Disney paid for her husband, and her kid to walk around the park undercover. That's like the coolest job ever. Like, get paid to go on the rides and stuff and just spy on people. Also, everything is constantly being taped. Every second of your visit, you're on camera. Don't even try to do any funny business because Mickey's got eyes on you. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the costumes. Honestly, being a Disney costume character isn't that great. Like, you're in the hot sun and heat in a heavy costume that other people have also sweated in. It gets worse. Most of the times, the costumes can't be washed. This is because they're made out of like fur or fancy fabric. The Beast from Beauty and the Beast costume is one that apparently never gets washed. So it's just sprayed with a bunch of disinfectants, and a lot of cast members say that it reeks. And some employees have admitted to not wearing undergarments while in the costumes. Yikes, yikes, and more yikes. No thank you. And at number 4, we have the language. Obviously, if you work at Disney, you have to keep it PG. There's no swearing or inappropriate behavior allowed. But they also have some other strange rules. Employees are not allowed to ever say that they saw any rats or pests or cockroaches at the park. You also can't ever say the word died. For example, one employee once said, "My radio battery died," and they got in so much trouble. You can't say the word at all, even if there's no bad meaning behind it. And if you do see like a mouse or something, you have to say things like, "I found one of Mickey's friends." So everything is just always in code. In our 3rd spot, we have the ride restrictions. So this story comes from a former Disney employee. Apparently, parents try to sneak their young kids on rides all the time. which is super dangerous. Like, the height and age restriction is there for a reason. Just take this next incident, for example. So they were loading everyone onto the Space Mountain ride when they found a 6-month-old baby inside of a bag. The parents had put the baby into the bag and tried to sneak them on the ride. Number one, the baby wouldn't have had a seatbelt or anything. So if the bag flew, well then... Number two, babies or young kids can't go on certain rides because of shaken baby syndrome. Seriously, that could have resulted in serious brain damage. In our second spot, we have the ghost named George. Apparently, the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Walt Disney World is haunted by a former worker who died there. Legend goes that George was a construction worker hired to help build the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. But during construction, he either fell off the set or was crushed by a piece of the set. He died instantly. Shortly after the theme park opened, a very sad and old-looking woman was seen constantly riding this attraction alone. Turns out that this was George's mother. Now it's said that George's ghost haunts the ride and causes mischief. Apparently, if you don't wish him good morning or good night or respect him, then he will make life tough for you. He has been blamed for causing a number of malfunctions with the ride. Now, some versions of the story say that the tall tower that's seen during the burning city scene is the piece of set that killed George. It's now referred to as George's Tower, and apparently his initials are carved into the base of that tower. No matter how many times people have attempted to cover up his initials, they will always reappear. And in our number one spot, we have the crocodiles. Okay, this fact literally blew my mind. So, Kilimanjaro Safari is a safari attraction at Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida. During one part of the safari, you go over a bridge with real crocodiles underneath. Well, according to Disney's protocol, if anyone falls into the crocodile pit during the safari, then they're to just drive off immediately. Like, you don't even help them. You just let them get fed to the crocodiles. They do this because the crocodiles are normally fed from that spot. So as soon as something falls into the water from that spot, they're done. The crocodiles will have already attacked them before you can even help them. And two, they drive off so that the guests don't have to see the horror that's about to unfold. Still, that's incredibly dark. Like, imagine your loved one falls in and then the driver just speeds off and you can't go help them.
Starting us off, in at number 10 is cast members who get to experience the rides after dark. And by get to, I mean have to. They're absolutely forced to. Well, apparently some of these rides are absolutely 100% haunted. Especially, it's a small world. I remember I was stuck on that ride one time and I wanted to absolutely kill myself because it was so annoying. It was on repeat. It's so repetitive. Well, multiple cast members have reported seeing the little animated dolls blink or appear in entirely different places long after that they've been unplugged and switched off for the night. Honestly, there's just something about the ride that creeps me out, and a reason why I just won't go on this ride ever again. In at number 9 is the poor employee who had a little bit of a game with Walt Disney himself after he died. A bit of backstory. Whenever Walt was at the parks, the staff would always make sure that the light in the window of the fire station was turned on to let everyone know, you know, Walt's here, let's be on our best behavior. Well, once he died, they turned off the lights. But one day, a staff member was cleaning the room where the lamp was, and they saw that it was turned on. She turned it off, turned around, and when she turned back, it was switched on again. This would freak me out. She again turned it off. I wouldn't do that. I would just run like crazy, not look back, put in my resignation, and I'd probably go work for Microsoft or something. Well, something inside her was telling her that Walt was letting her know that, hey, I'm still here. I'm still much alive in this park. Well, since then, the lights always stay on to let everyone know that Walt is looking down on the parks. So everyone there better be on their best behavior. Following up, at number 8 is when a Disney employee noticed that there was a mysterious box chained to a lamppost. Anyone who's seen any type of crime shows know that if there's a mysterious package anywhere, it might be a bomb, and to clear the area and call 911. This employee jumped into action and did just that, because the last thing anybody wants is an active bomb in the happiest place on earth, filled with excited kids and their families. Turns out, thankfully, it wasn't a bomb. It was just some family's lunch, and they just didn't want to carry it around with them. But seriously guys, I don't understand wanting to carry your lunch around. I mean, at that point, just go out and buy lunch in a restaurant. Just go buy a turkey leg somewhere. Well, I guess on this day, it would save a lot of people a lot of stress. Okay, next up, at number 7 spot is the employee who had to help break up a fight that could have ended really poorly. Apparently, a group of 20-year-olds were getting rowdy and started punching each other in the arms. But one of them missed and ended up punching a 12-year-old girl right in the face. Is this real life right now? How do you mess that up? Which is, well, this is bad enough, but imagine doing that and then realizing that the little girl's dad is right there. It's like, and then right behind her is this big dude. Well, this guy, he was actually 6'4", over 300 pounds, and really mad. Like really mad. It literally took 4 security guards and 2 deputies to pull the dad off the guy who punched his daughter, but not after bloodying up himself. Number 6 today goes to a worker who might have told an exorcism at the haunted mansion. Apparently before the ride even opened up, an employee heard music coming from the walls of the seance room. Mysterious music is bad enough from any room, but a seance room? Especially when there are rumors that the spell book was a real one, which was once owned by witches. Well, that is class A nope material for me. Instead of cleansing the place, this employee decided to just install speakers to drown out the noise, but I guess whatever helps you sleep at night, I guess. Halfway through, and at number 5 is a staff member who discovered the body of a man who had died in his hotel room. I guess cleaning staff must have found him, but it was apparent that he had taken his own life. The room's windows and entrance were covered by those "Pardon our dust" signs. I've never seen that kind of sign before, like, "Pardon, we didn't clean this place, don't mind it." And there was an important meet and greet to distract people from the room as police arrived on the scene. No matter what I encountered in my life, I feel like finding someone else's body would probably be the scariest thing to happen. And at number 4 is the employee who had to stop a situation that could have ended a lot worse than it did. This group of drunk people were on the Dumbo ride with their infant when they decided that it would be a good idea to reenact The Lion King. Yeah, you guys know where I'm going with this one. You guys know what I'm talking about. Well, they took off the seatbelt of the kid, and they held their hands like Rafiki did to Simba during the Circle of Life. Well, the ride operator emergency stopped the ride, and the entire group was escorted out of the park and arrested as soon as they stepped out of the gates. So, did they have to wait until they were completely out of the park to be arrested? Because I would try to resist and never leave, like, I would never try to cross that line of, like, Disney, exit, Disney, exit. Next up, number 3 is an employee who had to deal with a watery attack. Well, during a jungle cruise, everything was going pretty well until suddenly one lady entirely lost her cool at the guy sitting in front of her. Mind you, he hadn't done anything other than enjoy his ride because he's in the happiest place on earth. Well, she started to scream at him and then lunged at him, clawing his face and kicking him. The skipper on board had to fire 4 rounds from his pistol into the air to warn other boats, rushed back to the dock, and tried to pull the lady off of the guy. Well, apparently half the people on board were trying to help as well. When medical and security arrived, they finally got her secured and into an ambulance. Turns out she was schizophrenic and hadn't taken her medication that day, and unfortunately had an episode in the middle of the water. It's always sad when somebody has a mental illness that affects them like that. Like, you're trying to enjoy your ride and all of a sudden you're having panic attacks, you're freaking out. But I can't even imagine how scary that would have been for staff and customers as well, who may not be experienced with understanding what that person is going through. Number 2 today goes to an employee who had to deal with the aftermath of something truly disgusting. Apparently in line at one of the rides, a fully grown man decided to take a poop in the corner of the pre-show, which is pretty damn disgusting, especially when you remember that Disney is filled with kids, and kids are curious, and they like to satisfy their curiosity by finding things and putting it in their mouth. Yeah, so one kid actually saw the poop and decided it was snack time. The mom rushed the kid to the staff washroom in a panic where the employees were just staring in shock. If I was the employee in that situation, I wouldn't do anything at all because I would just be in total shock. My mouth would just be like, Like, is this real life right now? Did that guy really take a And finally, in a number 1 spot is a cast member who met their tragic end at one of the shows back in 1974. 18-year-old Deborah Gale Stone was working at the American Sings attraction at Disneyland at the end of the night. She got too close to the area of the stage by a moving wall and a stationary wall. And as the one wall moved, she got trapped between the two and ended up being crushed. Nobody was in the theater with her, but the ride operator next door heard her screams and rushed to help. But unfortunately, they were too late. Eventually, the solid walls were replaced with, breakable ones to prevent a tragedy like this, one to prevent someone getting squished. I don't know who thought of this. There should be like a fail-safe or like pressure sensors. Like, you know how you have a garage door and something's underneath it, it would go and then all of a sudden stop because there are sensors? Well, they definitely should have had one in place. Well, it was rumored that Deborah now haunts the attraction and now can be heard telling others to be careful.